Okay, good morning. So we are up to Shin Chof Beis, a new simon, Shin Chof Beis, Din Noilad B'Shabbos. So this will be familiar to you from when we learned Maseches Beitza. Says the Mechaber, Beitza Shenolda B'Shabbos, Asura Afilu L'Taltala. An egg that is born on Shabbos, it's also to even touch it. Literally, tiltul means to move it, but it means, you'll see, it means even touch. V'afilu nis'arva be'elef. And this egg that is born on Shabbos is so asa that even if it's mixed up with 1,000 other eggs, kulan asuras, all the 1,000 eggs are asa to eat on Shabbos. What you can do, however, is take a kli, put it on top of the egg so that it doesn't break. So long as you don't touch the egg. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Now, here's the background. Since the egg isn't, you're not allowed to eat it, it's got a din of muktzah. Why is it also to eat it? That means to drink it raw. Yeah, obviously you can't cook the egg, so you can't drink it raw, right? You're a chazan, you're going to Shabbos morning, you want to have a raw egg to help your throat singing. You can't do that. Mishum Shabbos, Gezeira Mishum Shabbos to Mikla Acha Yontov. Says the Gemara in Beitza there, because it's a Gezeira of when Shabbos might come on the day after Yontov, i.e. Yontov's on a Friday. She'oz Beitza Hanol Debo Asur Midaraisa Ba'achila. Because in such a situation, when an egg is born on a Shabbos after a Friday Yontov, the egg is also midaraisa. Why? To call beitza the misyal dohidno me esmo gomerla. Because any egg that is born on one day, it was completed the previous day. V'nimtza k'shenechlen, and therefore when you eat it on that Shabbos, when was it prepared? The Yontov hechin l'Shabbos, because Yontov must have prepared it for the next day. V'zeh also t'chsiv v'hoya b'yom hashishi v'hechinu es asher yoviu. The pasuk says v'hoya b'yom hashishi v'hechinu es asher yoviu. Ustam shishi cholu. A regular yom shishi is a chol. Lahiris lanu. That comes to teach us. The Torah is teaching us the dafka b'chol tzarich l'hachin l'sudah Shabbos. That is dafka from a weekday you can prepare for Shabbos. V'chein li'yontov t'gamhu ikru Shabbos, and so too Yontov is also Ikri Shabbos. Avol beYontov also lahachin l'sudah Shabbos. But on Yontov you can't prepare for Shabbos, and therefore if Friday is Yontov and Shabbos is the next day, preparing from Yontov for Shabbos is also the Chol Shekain, the Shabbos also lahachin l'sudah Yontov, and certainly the reverse, that if Yontov's on Sunday, you can't prepare on Shabbos for Yontov for Alkain, and therefore Kashenolda habeitza beYontov, when this egg is born on Yontov Shechol Yom Rishon, which is on a Sunday, you're not allowed to eat this egg minatayra. It must have been completed yesterday. And therefore it must have been prepared on Shabbos for this Yontov Sunday. Even though you're not being meichen anything, this is all happening as it were by itself. It's just developing inside the egg by itself, completing the process. Nevertheless, it's still called concluding hachon. It's also valkein gozer rabbanon bechol Shabbos v'yontov k'shenolda she'osa. Okay, so that's the background. So again, if a beitza shenolda b'Shabbos is asura afilu l'taltala, why is that? Because the Gemara says that in beitza it's a gezeira of Shabbos which falls after Yontov. So because on that situation when Yontov's on a Friday, and that on that following Shabbos, it's going to be also midaraisa to eat the egg. Why? Because it was prepared. The hachana done on a Friday for Shabbos is also, it says shishi and some shishi is a weekday. So a weekday can prepare for Shabbos. You can't prepare on a Yontov for Shabbos, nor can you prepare on a Shabbos for Yontov. So therefore, minat Torah, it's going to be the hachana will be also whether the Yontov was on Friday and you eat it on Shabbos, or whether it was Shabbos and then born on a Sunday, Yontov, either that would be also. But because of that, regardless of Yontov, any egg which is born on Shabbos is always going to be also a gezeira for that scenario of Yontov when it's next to Shabbos. Okay, Siv Cotton base, and even if we said this egg gets mixed up with 1,000, they're all also. Why? Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah Berurah, Siv base, Siv Cotton base, to have the dova sheish matirin. Why? Because you can eat him also Shabbos. So it's dova sheish matirin, and therefore dova sheish is never bottled. The kaim dova sheish matirin, afilu be'elef very bottled. V'hatam, and the reason is, what's the svar of dova sheish matirin is not being bottled? Because you can eat it now with a chashash issa. Maybe this is the one, maybe it's not. There are 1,000 eggs here. Chances are so small. Wait until it gets dark until Motzei Shabbos. And then all 1,000 of the eggs will be mutter. And so too, if it was a suffix, whether it was born on Shabbos or before, it's also for this reason. After Bechol Duch the Chaim on the Sveika Drabonon Lahakel, remember this is all Muktzah, and Muktzah is Drabonon, and we have a principle of suffix Drabonon Lahakel. Lekama Mesim Tafik Gimel Vayin Sham Eid Magen Avram Mishnah in this Arif. Sorry if I jumped. No, Lekama Mesim Tafik Gimel Vayin Sham Eid Magen Avram Mishnah in this Arif has suffix Ba'achiris. And what would happen if you've got a suffix, right? We're not sure if this is the one. If it was, like for example, if it was born Ben Hashmashos, or if it was born, I don't know, it gets mixed up with other eggs. Actually, that's not a good example. It's a suffix, right? It's a suffix. I'm not sure if this is the one. It was born Ben Hashmashos. So, and then that suffix gets mixed up with others. What do you do in that situation? So that's a machlekes. If you look at footnote 3, he says, then Poskim argue about this. If there's a big loss, you can be saying mekilim. Okay, pseida. So that's what they say in that would be the situation in the case of suffix. However, if he got up early Shabbos morning, and he sees an egg there, he gets up early, it's still dark outside, then you're allowed to take it and to eat it. Why? The rubon ein yoldos belayla. The majority are not, the eggs are not laid at night time. No, it must be that this egg was emerged on a Friday afternoon or some point on Friday, and not during the night, because the rove of eggs are not born during the night. Okay, and then last thing, the last Mishnah Berurah. What does that mean? Hainu b'kli. Okay, I said it wrong before. You mustn't touch the kli. For kolshkem b'negiyah b'yodov, and certainly, in other words, you shouldn't. Sorry, I was right. You shouldn't touch the egg either with the kli or certainly not with your hands. Again, so if an egg is born on Shabbos, it's muktzah, and you can't eat it, i.e., drink it raw, and you can't even touch it. But you can put a kli over it to protect it. Or b'vacha yigaba. What does that mean? Don't touch the egg. How? Either with the kli and koshke with your hands. That's what it means.
It's a touching on.
Yes, carry on. Look, because it's round, inevitably it's going to move. Exactly your point. Okay, good. Base.
If it does it into a kli though, you can't pick up that.
No, you're putting a kli over it.
I know, but if it was to do it into a kli,
into a kli.
Into a bowl,
so then it's the shail of bosses ledavos and all that stuff. Ein shinches. Yeah. So then it's a bit of a problem. Okay, sif base. Shabbos shenach yontav elefonov nolda bezeh asur bezeh. So that's what this is just an application of what we said above, as explained by the Mishnah Berurah, that Shabbos which falls after yontav or lefonov, i.e., when you've got yontav either on a Friday or on a Sunday, nolda bezeh asur bezeh. That's what we just said above. Hatam if you eat it, have a kamechen miyom echad lechaveira va'also, like we said above, v'chanal b'sif kotnal, like we said above. And therefore it's muktzah. Okay, let's just do one more sif. Gimel. Peiros shenoshru min ha'ilon, fruit that fall off a tree on Shabbos, asurim bo bayom they're osa, or le'erev matar miyad, and on Motzei Shabbos you can eat them straight away. So again, you imagine we've got some fruit trees in our garden, and the apples are getting large now. If let's say I come down one Shabbos morning and I see an apple fall on the floor, I'm not allowed to eat it. That's mamash halacha. Perish and noshrim and on Shabbos asurim bo bayom, but on Motzei Shabbos I can eat it straight away. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Cotton Hay. Va'afilu im sofek shema nishu b'Shabbos. I don't know exactly where it fell off. I was in my garden and I see an apple on the floor there Shabbos morning. Did it fall off on Shabbos? Did it fall off on Friday? I don't know. Gam kein osa is still osa. Va'im b'sochim nunvav. Da'afilim kavnosa l'mitzvah. Even if my intention was very altruistic for a mitzvah. Lahafkiros on la'aniyim, to be mafke these apples for poor people, sheyechlu on b'shnei batzeres, that they can eat them in years of famine. Gam kein osa, you still cannot eat these apples. Even though when it comes to demai, you're allowed to feed your aniyim. However, we don't allow you to be over a shvus of Shabbos and Yontif to give these fallen fruits to aniyim. Vav min ha'ilem b'Shabbos v'adin zroim v'yirakus hanimtzoim beganis also la'achol. And so too, lav dafka fruit. But if you've got crops which are just have been cut or they're fallen. Next on the field. Also la'achol, you can't eat it. V'after taltlon, and nor can you touch them. Shem and noshru hayom, maybe they fell off today. V'da. Even if you know they became detached on Erev Shabbos, so let's say you know that the apples fell off before Shabbos, and you didn't have time before Shabbos to collect them. By the way, he says you've got a separate issue, because there is an issa deraisa of ma'amer, it's called, of collecting in fruit or crops from which just stam. Even if they've nothing to do with this sif of them falling on Shabbos, even if they fell before Shabbos, you can't collect fruit together. Okay, we'll get them as Shem and Shimem siftes. The whole dava hamakabitz v'mokim gedulei doimel ameh. Wherever you gather things together in the place where it was grown, right? Not as if oranges fall on the floor here, then it's different. But if they fall outside in the field and I'm gathering them in together, then you've got a nissa deraisa of ma'ameh. Okay, asurin. So what's this going on? Perish enoshim ino elam b'Shabbos asurin bo bayom. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Cotton Zayin mishum shema ya'alev v'yitlish. What's the problem? The problem is if I see a geshmaka apple, what am I doing already? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just taking the apple. I'm eating it. That's okay. It's a gezeira shema ya'alev v'yitlish. I might climb up the tree and pick more apples. That's the concern. That's the whole concern over here. For gam mishum muktzah, and there's also a problem with muktzah. The kivin diskatzoy midaite ben hashmoshes, because at ben hashmoshes it was out of my mind. I'm not planning on eating this. Oz mechuba, because it was mechuba to the tree, and therefore it's muktzah for me. It's out of I'm put it aside from my mind, and therefore it's katzoy lekula yoma, and therefore it's also for the whole of Shabbos. So two issues. Number one, gezer shem yalavi yitleish. Number two, it's a problem with muktzah. However, ule erev mutar miyad, says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Cotton Ches, ve'ein tzorich lahamtin b'chedesh yaseh. We don't have to take the time it normally does to do the melacha. For example, it takes half an hour to take the ladder and to pick the crop or whatever. And we don't have to wait b'chedesh yaseh. In this situation, I can eat it straight away. Because no melacha was done to it. They just fell off the tree. So no one went to actually pick the tree or bake the cake or whatever it is, and therefore you can eat it. There's no b'chedesh yaseh. B'chedesh yaseh is only a knas for someone who did a melacha. Here they just fell off themselves, so it's not appropriate b'chedesh yaseh. Okay, so what have we said today? Sif Aleph is Beit Zeshnul b'Shabbos Asura Lafil L'Taltla. If they get mixed up, they're also Afil B'Elef, because you can have it on Motzei Shabbos because it's Davish Yesh Matirin. And number two, we said Sif Beis Shabbos Shel Acha Yontov Nolda V'Zeh Asur B'Zeh, as the Mishnah Berurah explained in Sif Cotton Aleph. And third of all, Perish and Noshru Mino Ilam B'Shabbos, fruit that fell off a tree on Shabbos, then they're also on that day, but Motzei Shabbos straight away they're allowed. Why? Gezer Shem Yalav Yitleish, or because of Muktzah. Peseder.